Gather around, folks. Last week we talked about roguelike chess. Now we're going to talk about roguelite Pokemon. This year I want to try something new with longer videos for full games and shorter ones for demos. My last two videos have been pretty long, so this one's going to be a shorter, more condensed video on the demo. Developed by Roguelite Games and published by Off-Brand Games, Aethermancer is a roguelite monster taming RPG. While it doesn't have a set release date, there's a demo available that has enough content for you to get the feel of the game and play it for hours. You are an Aethermancer, a mysterious individual with the power to summon and lead monsters. You've taken it upon yourself to investigate this ruined city and the growing void. There's not much to say about the story because I don't know much about it. Aethermancer attended the Hades School of World Building. That is, the story is drip-fed over small interactions with various NPCs throughout the world. I really liked how Roguelite built the world. Every run you can talk and learn more about the story, things like who you are, who Aethermancers are, what happened to this world, questions like that. I really appreciate that kind of world and lore building, and I'm looking forward to the full release and seeing where they take it. We'll start with the basics of combat. You can have a maximum of 3 monsters in your party. Each turn you generate Aether. Aether functions as mana to spend on abilities. There are 5 Aether types: Fire, Earth, Water, Wind, and Wild. Each monster has a combination of Aether types that they receive each turn and use for their abilities. Wild Aether can be used for any type of move, though it's a lot less common to see but very useful. Every enemy monster has a poise weakness, with a color that matches the element they're weak to. Once you remove that poise weakness, they become staggered. Staggered enemies skip their next action, have 50% weakness to all attacks, and can be captured to be summoned later. The last combat mechanic I want to talk about is Corruption. Probably the part of combat that I had most difficulty dealing with. Corruption essentially lowers your max health. You gain Corruption when you take damage without a shield, so shielding becomes a huge priority for you. There are about 15 monsters that you can collect and use in the demo. There's a large variety of the monster specialties you can use, like healing, burn, regeneration, sidekick, to name a few. I won't go into the details of all the different types, but each monster felt like they worked well on their own, and even better if you synergize them with other types. Leveling up lets you choose one of 3 abilities or auras, and you can get rerolls later in the game. As you start your run, you have some choices in your starting monster, but you can only pick one. Fairly often you come across monster springs, which allow you to either summon or rebirth your monsters. Summoning monsters adds a new member to your team. You can replace current team members if they've received too much corruption, died, or if they just don't synergize well. Rebirthing monsters is essentially resetting them. They automatically level up to 1 level behind your strongest mon, but you get to choose new abilities. So rebirthing a monster has some drawbacks. You get shafted by losing good abilities and items, and the main reason you want to rebirth a monster is to remove corruption. Shields can be difficult to come by, so I was usually playing my runs with about 70 to 80% of my health. You can get items that give you shields, but they usually are pretty small, so I wasn't prioritizing them. You can only summon monsters you have a soul of. You can get these souls after combat encounters or capturing them during battle. Additionally, you can soul bond a monster to be available in any run. Aethermancer takes familiar aspects of roguelites and tweaks them slightly. You can choose which area you want to go in, visit the merchant, witch, knight, or a monster spring. But each area has a handful of enemies that you can face. These enemies can be optional. That is, sometimes you can avoid them, you can try to sneak around them, but I don't know why you would want to do that. The difficulty ramps up in the second biome, so you don't really want to miss out on valuable experience. There's the merchant, who doesn't love a good shop. The witch offers you a new perk and a small stat boost. The knight grants you an upgraded item. We covered the monster spring previously, but there are several choices you can make in how you want to move through the biomes. In the effort of making this video a little bit cleaner, I'm not going to go through all the areas, but there are ones that you would see in other roguelites. We can speculate that Roguelite might add more unique areas in the full release, but I have no reason to believe that they would. They have already included enough to make it a competitive game, and the real sell of Aethermancer is the monsters. Roguelite really loves their monsters. Their only other game is Monster Sanctuary. I haven't played it, but it looks like Terraria with monsters. As a demo, Aethermancer is really fun. You have access to 15 or so monsters and the first 2 biomes. I spent around an hour on each run, so Roguelite really did us a favor by not locking us out of content. I'm really excited for this release. It's got really well done pixel graphics and music. The monsters and characters are really well designed. Each monster is unique and their moveset fits their design. The Roguelite YouTube channel shows off a ton of the creature design, like the process, and even showing off new creatures not included in the demo. Overall, it looks like a really polished game. There are some features that I would have liked included, but I think it's going to be a great game. This is probably one of my favorite demos I've covered so far. This is a huge recommend for me. If you're still on the fence about Aethermancer, check out the demo. There's a ton of content for you to go through. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate the support I've gotten on the last 2 videos. I would appreciate a like and a comment and subscribe if you liked this one and if you want to see more. Thanks.